Hello everyone and welcome to today's live. I've got to think of a catchy name for the lives, haven't I? Um, Silly Lives with Sunny, I don't know. But anyway, welcome to the live. Today I thought I would talk to you about house sitting and actually how to travel the world with no cost to your accommodation whatsoever. It's something that I've been doing for the last 5 years. Whilst I was living in Australia, I actually travelled all the way up and down. Those of you that are from Australia would know the Pacific Highway. So I started in Sydney. I did some house sits south of Sydney, and then I went further north and did many house sits whilst I was travelling up north. And it's a great way to see to see the country, any country that you visit. It's a great way to have a base for a period of time. So whether you are looking to house sit just temporarily, or you want to actually travel the world and you want to do it for as little on a budget or as little money down as possible, this is one of the ways of doing it. Now, one of the reasons I've decided to do this live today is because I get so many people talk to me about house sitting, and they actually ask me, how do you go about doing the house sitting in the first place? And, what are the pros and cons of it? So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go through a few tips and ideas for you to get you started on your house sitting journey. So what I'd love to know is where you're coming in from. So if you're on the video right now, let me know where you're coming in from. I can see Sharon on there. Hi Sharon, thank you for coming in. And hello Rocco, thank you for coming in. He's sitting upstairs in the bedroom. So thanks very much. So wherever you're coming in from, just let me know. And whether you are a house sitter already, or B, you've been thinking about house sitting and you don't really know how to go about it, that would be really good to know. So like I say, a lot of my friends, they've asked me, how are you managing to do this, travel around the world? So I'll give you a little bit of background. When I first started house sitting, it was actually because I really needed to house sit. At that time, I could not afford to rent my own property. I wanted to stay in the Sydney area, and sort of life changes as life does. And I found myself in a situation where I needed to find my own accommodation. But unfortunately, that wasn't possible because the rents are hideously expensive in Sydney. So a friend of mine, she actually suggested to me, why don't you do some house sitting? And so I thought, oh, okay, well, this is a pretty cool idea. So I did. I started house sitting. And then I remember, after about 3 years, I thought to myself, maybe I should get my own place. And then I realised how much I actually enjoy it. I actually enjoyed moving around. Now, for me personally, I ended up getting house sits that were of no less than a month long. For those of you that are starting out, or indeed if you just want to have a holiday, then you might want to be looking at house sits of a week or a 2-week duration. But it's important that you know exactly what it is that you're looking for as well. So I remember doing a few house sits that have gone from tiny little units to absolutely massive, beautiful, expensive properties on the side of Sydney Harbour, and to properties that have 77 acres of land. And actually I always give my house sits a name, and that was called 77 acres. So a few tips for you. One of them, of course, is that you want to sign up with a house sitting website. Now, there's quite a lot of them out there at the moment, and there's too many for me to actually name on this video right now. So if you just do a search on Mother Google, just go there, do a little search, and she'll come up with quite a few different house sitting sites that you can join. So some of those are very specific to the country that you're looking at. So there's probably about 3 that I used to use in Australia, and there's a worldwide one that I use. There's also very specific ones for Europe, for the US, and also for Canada. So it depends really on where you want to go. So make that choice or make that decision to start with. So Rock and I, we started traveling about 6 months ago, 5 or 6 months ago. And one of the things that we knew that we wanted to do is we wanted to travel for quite a while. And if you want to travel for an extended amount of time, then of course you've got to be looking at your budgets. And this is one of the great ways that we do this, is we actually house sit. And in fact, we're in a beautiful house sit at the moment up in the north of England. We actually happen to be looking after the house, and we're not looking after any pets. That is, however, and that's a nice segue in to the fact that most house sits would be with pets. So you've got to be the type of person that really loves other people's precious pets. It's really important. It's an important criteria for the house owner. So you do a few things. You know, you're providing them with a really good service, because a house owner, they want to go away on their holiday, on their vacation, knowing that their property is secure and being looked after. So if it's someone like the house owners that we're looking after this house for at the moment, they've gone away for 2 months and they know that their house is totally secure, it's being kept warm over the winter months, and that they're not going to have any flooding, because this is an area that could flood. So we have sandbags, easy for me to say, outside, ready for a situation if it should occur, that we can put the sandbags out. Now, if they went away and they left the property empty, then there's every chance that the house might have been flooded while they've been away. Now, if the house owner has got pets, then obviously you've got to be a cat friendly person or a dog friendly person. I've actually done house sits where I've even looked after horses. Thoroughly enjoyed that. And in fact, I did one house sit that was for a hobby farm, and this was absolutely terrific because I ended up I looked after multiple birds, chickens, peacocks. I looked after cows, bulls, horses, goats, couple of dogs and a couple of cats. And that was really interesting, because you might think to yourself, well, does that take up all of your time? Well, no, it doesn't, because the routine was very straightforward. The house owner gave me what she needed to be done with the animals, which was basically just to feed them in the morning and the evening, just to check in on them, make sure that they were safe and that they were well. No sort of emergencies came up with that. And that was it. That was my job, half an hour in the morning and half an hour in the evening. And then the rest of the time was my own to go and explore wherever I wanted to explore. So it's a great way of seeing the world. It's just terrific. We absolutely love it. We absolutely love it. So like I say, you want to get yourself onto one of the websites. Now, what's really important, by the way, the websites you have to pay for. It's not very much, really. If you look for a year's subscription, it's not very much at all. Hi Liz, lovely to see you. Let me know where you are at the moment. Hi Ekram. Hi Cornelia, hope you're well. Haven't seen you for ages, and I hope you're well. I've seen a few of your posts and they're absolutely beautiful. So if you've got anyone that you know that is thinking about house sitting, just share this video with them. If you've got someone that you know would also be interested, you can tag them as well, so that they get to see this video later. If you're coming in later on the video after I've actually finished it live, just again, write down your name, let me know where you're coming in from, and tell me 2 things. Have you ever done any house sitting? Or would you like to do house sitting? And if you're not sure of the website names, just drop me a message and I'll let you know what the names are of those websites as well. So something else to consider when you are looking at house sitting is when you go onto the sites, you can go on as a guest to start with. And what you want to know is where you want to be, of course, number 1, that's obvious. And the second thing that you want to know is what sort of property do you want to be looking after? And if they've got pets, and if they're the type of pets that you want to look after as well. Because remember, it's really important for the house owner to know that their pets also are going to be looked after really well, and they're going to be treated basically like your baby, like they are their babies. And this is really, really important, that they actually feel that they can trust you with their absolute precious pets, which people do treat like babies. I mean, I've had my own dogs as well, so I know exactly what it's like. Also, are you prepared to look after pets that have perhaps some medical issues. Once again, I've done some house sits for some people who have got pets who are very, very old. And I remember looking after this very old golden retriever. And unfortunately, while the house owners were away, she was really unwell. And I kept, taking care of her and kept in touch with the house owners. And the thing is that they actually knew that she was unwell before they left. And I think they kind of half expected that she wouldn't be here when they returned. And I was thinking, oh, not on my watch, please. I don't want that to happen. But it can happen. But anyway, I took care for about 6 weeks. I took care of this beautiful golden retriever. And, she was unwell. She was sick and everything else like that. So you have to be prepared for that sort of thing. So ask those questions when you eventually get to speak to the house owner. Is the animal well? And do you have to give it any medication? And what's the medication for? So you have to do a few checking criteria, which I'll talk about on a different live. But today I just want to let you know how you can become a house sitter. So review your properties. Do you want to go to London? Is it just a sort of a flat or apartment that you want? Or do you want to go to the countryside? Would you like to go to Switzerland and spend time in the Alps? Or would you like to go to Italy and spend time on the Italian Riviera? Or, where would you like to go? Because there's hundreds of websites out there. There's also hundreds of house sitters now. So you have got competition. Now, this takes me nicely on to the next stage, which is to create a really good profile. Now, how do you create a profile based on the fact that perhaps you've never house sat before? Well, one of the things that I sometimes did is I actually house sat for friends and family. And then what I did is I actually, even though it was more of a favour type thing, it wasn't an official arrangement. But what I did at the end of it is I asked them to give me some references, and they were kind enough to give me references so that I could then put those up onto my profile and I could explain the experience that I had with those particular house sits as well. So my very house sit was for my very, very dear friend, Claire and Scott. So Claire and Scott, I think this was probably back in 2013, thereabouts. They needed to go away to New Zealand to visit family, and they had a beautiful little doggy, Toasty. And if you're watching, Claire and Scott, we all miss Toasty. So I took care of Toasty, took him out for a little walk every day and just gave him some company. And so they could go away. Toasty was their absolutely special pet. And when they got back, Toasty was happy as anything. He was happy that he'd spent time with me, and he was happy to see his owners when they got back as well. So it's really important, after that, obviously they were delighted. So it was a great time for me to say to them, hey guys, would you give me a reference for when I do the house sitting again? And that's what they did, is they gave me my first reference. So I was able to then get some more house sits. So make sure that you actually list your experience down there. What pets have you looked after? Because often you want to kind of create rapport with the house owner, and it might be that you spent a lot of time looking after let's say French bulldogs, which I've done, and I actually looked after, gosh, how many were there? Five or seven, five French bulldogs all at the same time. So it might be that you have an affinity with people with that type of breed because you understand that breed. And trust me, as time goes by, you gain more and more experience of the houses, the types of houses that you stay at, and the pets that you look after. So what's your experience with the pets? And also, what is your experience with the home? Now, if you are looking after a home that is on land and off grid, you might have some special experience with that. You might have special experience about monitoring the water, what the water levels are, how to use a generator, for instance. Maybe if you stay in an olive on an olive farm or a property that's got land with olive trees, it might be that you would be there to harvest the olives because that's what you choose to do. So there's many many different experiences that can come in quite useful to actually list on that profile. It's really important that you list on that profile, because even if it's not an experience that someone needs at that time, it shows that you do actually have experience. So even experiences of your own home, you know, perhaps that you've had experiences of perhaps emergencies. Like I said, flooding is something that can truly happen at this home. So we need to know how to take care of that situation. You know, are you enthusiastic about the animals that you might look after? So when you're going online, you want to, when you're going onto these websites, you want to keep your eye on those house sits every day. So, because one of the things that I found is the quicker you respond to an offer of a house sit, the better it is. So it's sort of like first in, first served, as it were. So actually apply as quickly as possible. So once again, if any of you that are on this video at the moment, if you would actually tag a friend who you know that would like to find out some information about house sitting. This is purely a passion of mine. This is the way that Rock and I can travel around currently Europe. Like I say, we're in the UK. We've been house sitting here for the last 6 weeks. We've got a few more weeks to go. And then we move on to another house sitting in the UK, and that one's for about 3 months. So it's, you know, we're busy. And okay, so here's a few questions. If you have, by the way, got any questions, pop them down for me. I'll answer your questions, because I am experienced at this. I've been doing it for a long time. Like I say, 5 years 5 years experience. It's now probably coming up to about 6.5, something like that. Now, when you apply for a house sit, find out what they've written in their profile. Hi, Priscilla, lovely to see you. Find out what they've actually written in their introduction about the actual house sit itself. Hi, Barbara, lovely to see you on the live. So then you can create some rapport when you're actually making the application. So find out what you've got something in common about. So for instance, when we applied for this place, I know that one of the things that we had in common straight away is that we were healers, and that we're vegetarians or vegans, and so we were able to create some rapport around that as well, because in your profile you're going to write about yourself, you know, give them some idea of your character, of your likes, your dislikes. It is like applying for a job in a way, and like I say, there are many house sitters that will apply for these jobs. Some of these jobs you'll get, well, it could be anything from 5 to 35 applications. I mean, if it's in a beautiful, sunny, gorgeous area and everyone's looking for sunny, gorgeous, then you're going to have a lot of applications. And then once you've written the introductory message, be prepared to either not have your answer. Sometimes the house owners don't respond. It's just the way of life. It's just the way it is. Accept that. Don't take it personally. But if they respond, be prepared to respond immediately. The quicker you are with this, the better it is. And then arrange to have a Skype conversation, especially if this is a worldwide situation. So, you know, if we were in Italy, we were house sitting, we were staying in Italy, and we saw this house sit come up. And of course, we couldn't be face to face in terms of in the physical presence. So we got onto a Skype conversation and we had a Skype interview. So it's a two-way interview. You're interviewing the house owner to see if it's the type of house you want to look after, whether the responsibilities are okay for you, whether the pets are the type of pets that you want to look after, and the area is the type of area that you want to be in as well. And then equally, they're going to interview you to find out that you've got the skills required to look after their loved ones, that you will take care of their home responsibly and respectfully as well. And it's the one thing, you know, that it's very important for me to get across to the house owners is that they will come home to a beautifully clean property, and they'll actually have a meal prepared for them after their long flights back as well. So there are a few other tips that I'm going to talk to you about, but not today. This is enough for this particular live. So those of you that feel that you want to house sit, and you want the names of those websites, just drop me a message. If you know of anybody that would also be interested in this, just tag them or share this video. And I'm so grateful for everyone that came on the live. Thank you very much. You will be seeing more of me because once again, I'm on a 21-day challenge. So you will be seeing more of me, and I'll be talking about a variety of different topics. So hopefully there's some stuff that will appeal to you. And thank you again for coming on to this live, and I will see you soon. Ciao, ciao. Mwah.